And today we have Planview with us. So we have Jason White and John Terry with us here today, who are going to take some time to cover their platform and their solution in detail. So with that, John and Jason, I'm going to go ahead and pass this on over to you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, John. I will share the slides, John, and you should be able to. You guys, tell me when you see them. You should be able to rock and roll.
It looks like we could see them.
Yep, there we go. All right. So thanks so much, everybody. Really appreciate the time with you today. As I said, I'm John Terry. I'm Chief Evangelist for Lean and Agile Strategy, and for you guys' purposes, I am your partner manager with Planview. And joining me is Jason White, who's Senior Vice President for Solution Consulting. Jason's going to do most of the talking today as he shows you actual product, but I want to go ahead and frame things with just a very few slides to give you an intro to the company. Next slide, Jason. So for those who don't know Planview, we are a multi-product company who focus our suite of products on what we call work and resource management. So drilling into that just a little bit, we do things like enterprise portfolio and program management, strategy, financials, road mapping, budgeting, that kind of thing for very large companies. We also do more of a mid-tier PPM for smaller organizations. We do enterprise architecture planning, document management and collaboration, and lean agile delivery solutions, which is the main thing that we're going to talk about with you today. For those of you who sort of keep score with the Gartners and Forresters out there, each one of our products is, generally speaking, a market leader on its Magic Quadrant or Forrester Wave, that kind of a thing. We've got very, very strong product offerings, and we're very much a global company. So we've got about 5,000 customers with over 1 million users who we serve from offices in the US, several locations in Europe, as well as Australia. So for the partners out there, we've got people on the ground nearby to you for you to work with on sales opportunities. We'd love to work with you on those. Next slide, Jason. In terms of actual product brands, those sort of various offerings I talked about come out in really 4 product brands. Planview Enterprise One, which is our very large enterprise strategy management tool, enterprise architecture, PMO. So this is a tool for running very big companies. PPM Pro is more of a mid-tier PPM tool, similar kind of capabilities, just a lighter weight version of those for smaller companies. Planview Lean Kit, which is our enterprise Kanban for Lean and Agile tool. Some of those folks out there who've been in the safe space for a while might have heard of Lean Kit, because we've definitely been in this Lean and Agile space for a good while before joining Planview last year. And then Planview Project Place, which is our collaboration and document management tool, which is sort of an accidental project manager tool for people who are doing very, very lightweight ad hoc project management. On to the next slide, Jason. So what we want to talk about with you today is principally the combination of Planview Enterprise One, that's our PPM, our strategy management tool, and Planview Lean Kit, which is our enterprise Kanban tool. And so, kind of the way we think about this is in a safe big picture sense is Planview Enterprise One is going to be your top 2 levels of the big picture, whereas Lean Kit is going to be your essential safe bottom 2 levels of the picture. So Planview Enterprise One is where you're going to do your road mapping, your financial management, your capacity planning, all those kinds of things. The tool is very flexible so that those things can be done in traditional ways in parts of an organization while evolving to more agile ways in other parts of the very same company, an extremely configurable product. So that's where your strategy is going to start out, your value stream budgeting, all those kinds of things, flowing over epics and features coming into Planview Lean Kit, where they then get broken out during PI planning and other planning, within SAFE, to then get decomposed out onto team Kanban boards. And then even if you move on to the next slide, Jason, or the next click, connecting down to lower level tools. So certain parts of an organization may be doing execution top to bottom in Planview and Planview Lean Kit, whereas other people within the same company can be using Planview and LeanKit as an overlay on top of existing Agile management tools via very configurable, very robust integrations that we have available. One more click, Jason. So those final levels of integrations are going to do is you're going to be mirroring stories, bugs, assignments, priorities, comments, attachments, all those kinds of things between, we give, for example, Jira and TFS could just as easily be ServiceNow, Rational Team Concert. There's about 90 products that we can connect to down at that level. And so this is giving you the ability to add on very robust portfolio management, very robust visual Kanban management for your program increment management and things above, while not necessarily having to disturb the team level tools that are in use, and you've got sort of DevOps integrations and your pipeline management built up around those kinds of things. So like I said, very brief framing there. I'll go ahead now and hand over to Jason, who will actually show you the real software that we use to make this happen.
Great, thanks, John. Let's jump right in. I'm going to spend about 12 minutes, I think was the ask, on the product demonstration. So as I like to say, buckle up because we're going to go quick. But as John will mention at the close, we're happy and more than happy to take any questions kind of one-off outside of this venue and make sure that you're getting kind of a full introduction to the suite of capabilities that we offer. So to start, let's focus on that portfolio level. And as I think about SAFe and SAFe 4.6 and all the great work that you guys are doing across the globe, we think about that portfolio and large solution and program level process, and obviously, as John just mentioned, kind of the team level process. I'll start at that kind of higher level, right? When we start to think about things like epics, and if we're going to do something like, whoops, let me just get a quick little refresh there. If we're going to do things like launch a new product into a new market, right? What are the things that we have to do every day to make that happen? Well, we can start to think about that from a strategic planning perspective, right? So we'll drive dashboards and visualizations. It's something that, in my 18 years here, I'm probably most proud of, is our ability to serve our customers' needs and provide them with real-time information and analytics and dashboarding that literally gives them one-click access. So, as we drill through and as we go into the details of each one of these epics or each one of these programs, and by the way, you'll hear me say words like features and stories and epics and programs and projects. Planview is methodology agnostic, and really what that means is each of our customers are going to be able to implement the product to support the needs of their business. So if some folks are thinking about features and stories, no problem, right? Or enablers, no problem. If we have some folks that are I've got a lot of customers, I was on the phone with one earlier this morning, that is more milestone driven, but moving to automating SAFe. Well, we can help them on that journey, right? And they'll never outgrow the products and solutions that we offer. So when we think about things like, project level dashboarding and feature level dashboarding, we can see the individual projects. We can see key information about them. We can see how many cards are blocked potentially, right? And we can drill to each of the delivery mechanisms, right? So if we want to drill in and better understand this mobile app IT ops project, right, that we're managing through our visual process driven workflow, we can do that, right? And I'll do that in just a bit, but just to kind of set the stage, we're going to give our customers a lot of flexibility in how they consume data, right? And thinking about things like how many epics we have rolling and what our current outcome costs look like. So how much money are we spending, or what's the revenue potential going to be as we move through things like digital transformation, and as we drill into each one of those, that mobile app rollout initiative, you can start to just better understand exactly what's going on, right? Now, the great part about this is, and John and I have been talking to a lot of our customers about it, is at the portfolio level, right? When we start thinking about things like strategic planning, we don't necessarily need to go down to, pull information or status down to individual stories in TFS or Jira or one of those 90 ALM tools, right? But we can absolutely roll that information up so that portfolio leadership teams and portfolio owners, product owners, they can get a sense of exactly what's going on across the business at that macro level. So let's talk a little bit about strategic planning, and I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, but I think it's important to set the stage for how you guys think about SAFe and managing that portfolio process. And really it's about managing all of the key initiatives the organization has going on to make sure that we're meeting and achieving the goals and objectives the company is set out to do. So in this case, we have two corporate missions, right? One is to grow and increase shareholder value, and another is to digitally transform our interactions with our customers, right? Our customer experience. Well, when you think about that, and I'll make this a little bigger so you guys can see it better. when you think about that, what are all the things that we have to do to grow and innovate to drive shareholder value? Well, we've got a couple of strategic themes here. We want to focus on organic growth and expansion. We've got a value stream that we want to expand into Asia Pacific. And then ultimately we have epics that we're going to deliver in order to make that happen, right? We may fund the value stream of expanding into Asia Pacific, but then we're delivering through epics and then ultimately down to individual enablers and projects, right? And initiatives and features. So this idea of launching and marketing a new product into a new region, into Asia Pacific, there's a lot of work that has to go on to make that happen, right? There are lean initiatives, there are iterative initiatives. We got some collaborative work that we're spawning to interact with some of our partners in that region. We've got new features that are being requested to deliver that capability in the region. But then we also can see easily the applications, products, and technologies, right? The outcomes, as we call it. We get a roadmap view that shows exactly what's going on. We get a full transparency, a fully transparent view of the cost associated with what the revenue expectations are from each of these investments. The idea is we give you the ability to do all the prioritization of what work we want to be delivering. The other side of that is we can also think about this through the eyes and lenses of an enterprise architect, right? Through our capability and technology management solution. So and I will tell you guys that one of our newest, one of our biggest prospects we're working on right now is in the process of joining up their EA teams and their Agile release training teams, and they're literally going through the process and saying we want to automate SAFe 4.6, and our ability to talk to the EAs and say, you know, if you want to think about this from a business product perspective and a value stream perspective, what channels we're selling those products through, what business processes we need to invest in, and most importantly, what business capabilities from an EA perspective we're investing in to deliver these strategies, we can do that as well, right? So serving the needs of everybody involved in that top line layer of portfolio as part of SAFe. Now, let me quickly move on to the planning aspects of it, right? So one of my customers I was talking to earlier this morning said, you know, Jason, it's pretty simple. We want to focus on intake. We want to prioritize. We want to build, and we want to deliver, right? He's like, I can't make the software development, the product initiatives that we're working on any simpler than that. And what we talked about was, okay, great. Let us be the platform that enables you to do that, right? So in this case, this is the prioritization concept, right? The priority aspects of it. And really, when you think about it, what we're trying to do here is when we think about, you know, and you'll see elements of costing and capabilities, right? And you'll see things like FTE planning or people planning. At the end of the day, you're going to get to choose, and our customers get to choose exactly what they see here. So sorry about that. I was having a little network issue there, but I think we're back. So here's the great thing, right? Here's the idea. We're going to use traditional scoring criteria, right? We were going to use things like WSJF. So way to shortest job first. We're going to do things like revenue and cost. Planview is completely configurable, right? So organizations get to choose what they want to use for prioritization, right? How do you make investment decisions? How do you decide what projects, what features, what epics, what stories? How do you figure out what you want to work on? Well, we can give you the ability to come in and say, you know what, that new mobile initiative is really my number 5 thing, or maybe it is my number 1 or number 2 thing. You can kind of just drag and drop and build out your high level kind of 1 to N list. But then you're also going to be able to do things like analyze. Think about this as above the line, below the line, right? So being able to go through and say, hey, what if we have to take on, you know, that number 1 priority initiative or that number 2 priority initiative? Well, you can simply drag that above the line and notice what will happen. It'll say, yeah, you're going to overspend a little bit. Well, maybe that's okay, right? But maybe there's also dependency conflicts. We manage dependencies really well, right? But then lastly, if you just kind of keep going here, ultimately you're going to get to the point where you're going to have a team constraint, right? We're going to have teams that are overutilized. So we can give you the ability and give our customers the ability to come easily see that like you would in Excel, right? Team Alpha, Team Beta, Team Charlie. But we can also allow them to do things like shift, right? Which means simply go in, drag and drop, move epics around, move features around to make sure that we're not overloading particular teams, right? Team Alpha is a bit overloaded here. I can pick up this initiative, this feature, kind of move it out, slot it in, and prioritize. So if you think about intake being strategy, prioritization being planning, as you're seeing in here, now it's about build, right? And we think about build in a couple different ways. Remember when we talked about the ability to link and to drill and to understand things, and being methodology agnostic, right? We've got your traditional planning capabilities, right? And that means, you know, milestone driven work and all that kind of stuff that, you know, again, over the years that we've built out as part of Planview Enterprise 1. But now we have the ability with the addition of Lean Kit last year, which I'm so excited about. Now we can speak to additional delivery methodologies, right, and capabilities. And when we start thinking about this, as those new features are coming in, right? New features will show up in our feature funnel here inside of Lean Kit. And for those of you that haven't seen Lean Kit, it's and as John mentioned, right? It's all about visual process-driven work. How do we visualize work flowing through the process and allowing teams of teams to work the way that they want to work, right? I've been involved in numerous Agile driven organizations that are going through that Agile transformation, and frankly, in a lot of ways, teams are just executing the way those teams want to execute, right? So we want to help prioritize that funnel of features that are coming in through that prioritization mechanism. We want to go through and start thinking about things like our program backlog and our PI backlog. We want to think about our release trains, right? And in this case, you can see, right, here's my key program that we're working on, our mobile app rollout initiative. You guys saw that at the beginning of the presentation. I can see Team Alpha, Team Beta, Team Charlie. Now, we can talk about teams and how they execute, but the idea is we can easily see how all of these teams are working together to achieve a common objective, right? We want to deliver this new epic or this new program, and we've got a lot of dependencies in order to make that happen. But we can also, and one of the things that I really enjoy about Lean Kit is as work is being processed, right? As you're moving work from one area, from one lane to the next lane, and as you're assigning these new enablers, these new features to teams, you have the ability to start to go through this process and literally see all those relationships, right? And then more importantly, you can drill. Okay, so imagine a world where, as I'm looking at this, if I'm an executive and I'm saying, wow, inventory management, we've got a critical milestone coming up, right? That's past due. I want to drill in. I want to better understand what's going on with that feature, right? Well, just like that, I can drill in, and of course I can see, all the critical information, right? And again, because this is integrated with the portfolio planning capability, we're going to have information like priority and WizGIF will be sent over. We'll be able to share that information backwards and forwards, right? So it's a bi-directional integration up to the portfolio and down to the story or individual level at the JIRA, the TFS, the ALM tool level, right? As John mentioned. So in this case, if I want to drill in, I can see the parent cards, what programs and what features we're working on, right? I can drill into the child cards to see what are all the stories that are going on, right? And you can see we've synced this with TFS. So imagine a world where initiatives are being prioritized. We're sending that down to our visual workflows, our visual work management solution. We're moving it through the process. Teams of teams are executing. Stories are being built out by dev teams, and we're rolling that back up, right? Because ultimately, if you want to drill in and see, I can go to the individual team board, right? And this is where we think about teams executing the way they want to execute. Where you've got a team alpha that's managing a scrum process. You've got team beta that's kind of a scrummer process, and team Charlie here is a Kanban process. You can execute the way that you want to execute, and teams can execute the way teams want to execute. So I think that wraps up the demonstration portion of the conversation. I know I went fast and I probably spoke like an auctioneer, but hopefully that gives you an idea of how we can bring to life the process that John outlined for you at the beginning through the slides, right? The idea that, when we think about our Lean and Agile capabilities, and if we think about that Lean and Agile delivery solution, it really does encompass, portfolio to large solution to program, and ultimately to teams of teams. And then the integration between our ALM platforms allows us to really fill out what we think is a robust way of automating the safe process. So John, why don't we, I'll pull up the last slide that you have here, but why don't we turn it over to the partner team for any questions? Or John, please, if I missed anything that we had talked about, or if you want to add, please do.
No, Jason, you did a great job of running through that stuff really, really fast. Folks, if you do have, maybe we can answer some questions here if there's time, but also absolutely feel free to reach out to me, jterry@planview.com anytime. And we can arrange a follow-up demo and conversation that can go at maybe a more stately pace with more opportunity for interactivity. We'd really love to work with you. We think we've got a great offering, and we'd love to partner with you.